in a sense, I'm a bit of a fraud as a Derridian. For those who know a bit about Derrida, there are some incredibly passionate people who studied Derrida, who study him in depth, and so forth. I was commissioned to write a biography of him, and I'd studied him at university and loved him. Didn't always understand him, which is one of the risks of Derrida. Pretended to have understood of grammatology for years and years and years without actually finishing it. But once I started to study the life, I found him an incredibly powerful thinker, an incredibly interesting thinker. And I think anyone who writes a biography, you become very close to your subject. And for me, with Derrida, it was a real journey for myself as well to kind of learn about him, learn about his philosophy, to be honest, simplify it for myself, because one of the things about Derrida is he doesn't make it easy for the reader. I mean, his position is that all words, as it were, are in quotation marks, and I'm sure we'll come back to that. So he doesn't want to make clear declarative statements because he's suspicious of them. So therefore, his writing very much avoids making such statements. So it's elliptical, it has gaps, it compresses stuff down. It's very hard. It's deliberately difficult. So in a sense, writing the biography for me was trying to understand it, and it was written very much to the limits of my own intelligence, and then trying to make that something that I could communicate to other people. So that was a wonderful thing to do, because I think ultimately his ideas are simple and basic, and he followed them along. But he, having had those ideas, he then had to write in a style and bring in other ideas that were more complicated and more complex. So that's where I come from. So I haven't been a hardcore Derridian all my life, as many people are. But now I feel an incredible affection for him, and yeah, I do feel that it's my responsibility to defend him somewhat, because during his life he was a very controversial figure. And there's been a sort of return of this controversy in the last few years with, as you mentioned, people like Jordan Peterson and the culture wars, as it were, where he's held up as somehow the god of wokeness, or this devil trying to overthrow all of philosophy, all that's good in the world, and so forth, which just isn't true. And so yes, I feel I've been called on to defend him in many ways.